Initially, if I'm really honest, I think that I kind of separated homeless men into a different category than other people maybe, and I kind of thought, you know, maybe they'd struggle to write stuff, maybe they wouldn't be as talented as musicians that had come just specifically to do a music project because they love it or whatever. But what I found really is there's so much undiscovered talent, and there's people that are really skilled at what they do and they just haven't got the opportunity to even do it, and no one even cares if they do it or not. And so I thought, for me, it was just the quality of what they were coming out with and the level of what they were coming out with was so shocking to me, because, you know, just like anyone else, I can be judgmental maybe and kind of go, oh, the homeless, they're probably not going to be able to write a poem that's beautifully written, you know, but they were writing poems that were beautifully written and things that brought tears to my eyes, you know. So to me, it kind of made me think, you know, we're all the same, you know, we're just human beings with fantastic skills and whatever, and, you know, and you can't discount these people, you know, and think, oh, well, just because they're homeless, they're not going to have talents and skills, because they sometimes can be even more talented because they've got stuff to say, they've got stories to tell, they're passionate about stuff that's happened to them and they want to express it. So for me, it was more kind of seeing the level of actual talent that there was quite shocking to me, really.
Well, essentially, it's engaging men in crisis through arts, right? That's kind of what I see as particularly these residencies. But first and foremost, for me, the men's room are there to support these men through crisis. Yeah. The art bit's second. Yeah. It's secondary. This is a conversation we had quite early on. I still stand by what I said then. I think 80% of what we were doing were our social and communication skills, had nothing to do with our art form whatsoever.
So just to qualify, this was one of the questions I asked very early on, which is, you know, how much is it the art, how much is it the artist? Yeah, so it's like, you know, it's a question that I ask all the artists that we work with, and it stimulated quite a long discussion, didn't it?
All your questions, dude. He knows what he's doing, you know. It's changed as time went on. There was one point where the art form, for me in particular, because I was now not in space helping write, I was now behind the equipment helping record.
You moved out, yeah.
So that flipped it a little bit for me. And then I was able to do techniques and things which, you know, in my art form, which I had to go, oh, that sounds amazing, you know, different effects on your voice or whatever it might be. So at that point, things changed somewhat, but it was still, I reckon at that point it was like 60-40 in favour of the art form.
In favour of the art form. So it's kind of moved the other way.
It shifted. But then towards the end, when it came to the performance, it kind of went back again.
Because the guys meet you in week one and they've no idea who you are. They might have done the odd session in the past with you, but they've no idea really who you are. They wouldn't have known who you were. They don't have the benefit of the hindsight of seeing what happened last week. So they're kind of going, prove something to me. So, in a way, the demonstration of the art form isn't happening there, is it?
No.
It's got to be about...
It's earning trust, earning respect.
So it's got to be about
just figuring out whether they like you, basically. And I think you never learn from people you don't like, and that's something that with young people, old people, whoever the hell it is, if you don't like the person, they can tell you the most interesting
stuff. That comes down to you being genuine.
Yeah.
And I know it's something Chris often talks about, and he's spot on. I think it comes down to you being genuine. Whoever you are, be the genuine version of yourself. If you are who you are and you're genuine with it, and you're comfortable with it, and you can give that to these guys, they'll accept you wholeheartedly. But if they sense any weakness or any you trying to be something to make them like you or any of that, which is something that's really easy to fall into working with these kind of
actually
guys.
There's an example of, you could call it self-aware. I think it's being aware of your surroundings and being aware of being kind of you're taking notes of what you're doing wrong yourself. You kind of self-monitoring.
You can be at risk as an artist when you take on a project like this, as you know, you want to do a good job for the people who've employed you. You can be at risk of over trying to dress everything up and use fancy words and, you know, use educational words, and not necessarily maybe to the lads, but just to the employers or whatever, and your lesson plans or whatever it is. And for me, the success comes by just being real, just sitting in that room and going, what do you guys want to do? I don't want to be here doing something you don't want to do, because I don't. That's me being as honest as I can. I don't want to sit here flogging a dead horse, do you know what I mean?
We're very overly aware of because I've been the subject of these things. I've been a homeless young person. I've gone to projects. I've had people trying, and I, not to toot me on home, but I was a very intelligent young person. So I'd sit there, and as soon as you did this type of stuff, I'd be like, no, I'm out, because it felt very condescending. It felt very patronising, as if I need to be taught something, or I need to be shown something, or given some opportunity. And I think, everyone's got pride and everyone's got a bit of they want to be equal to everyone else, and it sets up a hierarchy. And I think things like that impose a hierarchy on the subjects that makes them then feel a bit demeaned, which they already feel like that because of the situation.
It reinforces
then it reinforces that feeling a bit undermined.
And you've got some of these guys who are really talented, like rapping. I'd have them on a song, they're good. One or two of them are good, they're really good. And then when you come in, they want to be respected as a peer, they want to be respected by
We're
us.
trying to remove those things that make us different from them. We're taking them off the table going, no, they don't even exist. I think, to be honest with you, the guys are very good at picking out the other that's other than them. So for us, we were never the other, so they never tried to pick on us. They'd get a volunteer who looked a bit uncomfortable in the corner and try and pick on them. And to them, they see it as you're either with us or you're the other.
And the reason we weren't the other, because we were direct, is because we were honest.
We shared our backgrounds with them. I told them I was homeless and rap music and doing hip hop or whatever, and doing sessions with young people and doing facilitation saved my life. I wouldn't even be doing the job I'm in now in the college if I didn't do that, because I didn't do very well academically. I didn't go back and study anything. This was pretty much my line of kind of career went straight from music to education. So I try and tell them that, look, I was homeless, I did a few music projects, now I work in a college, get on some music stuff and get doing it. And you could do that. I'm not saying go and do something that I haven't done. I'm not saying, go and do something, but I've had a fantastic life and, you could probably make it. I'm saying, look, I was actually in that same hostel as you, and it's a bit horrible, isn't it, that hostel? But, you can get out if you get on this project. And so it makes it something real and something they can grasp, and it seems as though it's reachable for them, and I think that's key, and especially with you, your background as well is very much like you could have gone down the same path as them, but music redirected you. And so I think
I had many of those conversations, but I'm quite like in the last session I made it quite clear I did ballet for a long time, for the Sam, Fringy, maybe some of the more. Maybe you might argue that.
Well, that's important though, isn't it? Because it kind of undermines their perspective.
Absolutely. I guess I was trying to elevate them really, and show the pro. I guess like the earlier one was a bit small because he'd not said it louder. Simple. It's as simple as if you speak dead loud into that mic, it's going to be big. The wave's going to be big. Is you're small.
Well, my question, I guess, from that, building on this, is that a script you use a lot with people? Look at the size of your
Never
weight.
used it before.
You never used it before. Okay, so that literally.
Never used it in my life.
One thing I'd point out though, from the external point of view,
I might use it again.
He didn't use jargon or use technical terms. He said, "Oh, it said big that wave." He could have said, "Actually, your sound wave is quite technical."
It's about minus 5 dB. That's really healthy.
Yeah. So he made it in layman's terms. So it's like, oh, that's a really big wave. That.
But it was just a really simple way to make them understand, but also include them in the technical process a little bit without over technicalizing it, which is probably not a real word. But.
And I think as soon as the camera comes on or the recording equipment was on, it'd go. And I was like, this is not you, this isn't you. Like, the real him was like so cocky. When the camera was off, he was like too swaggy and being really cocky and stuff. And the second you'd be recording, it'd be like that. So I just wanted him to be himself, especially with music. It's like, you've got to believe what you're saying. You can't just be on the microphone saying something a bit half-heartedly and stuff, and you've got to believe it and stuff. So I think that's part of it, the performance side of things, maybe that we touched on a little bit, not too much. But.
And it's important as well, it's important to, even if someone is an incredible performer, an incredible singer, it's important to try and make them feel that they've progressed in some way or learned something in some way. And for me, because it has a positive impact, even when I work with singers who are, really talented and they're amazing, and I might pick something and I go, see the way you said that word. Can you hear the way you've delivered it? And I'll just pick something out, and actually I might not really have needed to go into that. But everyone, no matter kind of what level of skill you're at, everyone needs to feel like they're progressing and
encouraged as well.
Yeah.
I think it's funny you say that, because one thing that struck me about Men's Room is I always thought, kids maybe they need that encouragement and they need you to say, oh, you're doing really well, it's fantastic or whatever, but how much adults really need that? you know, for someone to say you're doing really well. We've really found music to be beneficial and almost has saved both our lives in a weird way, because we could have done anything else, you know, and that's something that, so because we love it so much, it's almost like a way of kind of going back and going, look, it could help you out of that situation too, and here's a lifeline, and if you hold on to that, maybe you'll get out of your situation.
Then I'd say another benefit of it for me is it's inspiring. Yeah. When you meet young artists with fresh ideas, like, you know, I'm inspired. I hear some of their lyrics and I'm like, whoa, I'm going to go and write. I'm going on to write tonight.
And actually, it's funny how much they inspired us as much as
like,
we're meant to be there to
and inspirational in more than one way. Is in a musical way, definitely, but also in a kind of life way. Like, some of these lads have been through hell and back. You know, we've all got our cross to bear. We've all kind of been through our own shit, which is the most important to us. You know, our own problems are our own. Are more important to ourselves, aren't they? But just, it's very inspirational, kind of connecting with that kind of group and building what I would call genuine bonds and genuine relationships. I feel a genuine bond with them, with that group.
And I identify with those people so much. I mean, sometimes more than my own peers. I feel a real, like, kind of a real understanding of what they're going through, and things that I tell them, for example, that I get out of it is stuff like, you know, I was in a bed sit like you, but you know, you've got a pen and a piece of paper and you're free, you can write whatever you want. You know, you might not be able to travel wherever you want, you might not be able to buy all the clothes that you want, but your mind and your ideas and your imagination is free, and you can write whatever you want. You can write the wealth of the world, and you can write it all, and there's no limitations. And that's, to me, you know, looking back on the 15-year-old sitting in my flat with no electric, writing by candlelight because I only had a pen and a piece of paper, I literally, I felt that feeling that this is what I've got and this is the only thing for free that you get. And in that moment that you've got nothing and it's the only free thing that you've got, you know, your intellect and your creativity becomes so much more valuable, and it's something that can really drag you out of that place, you know. It's a selfish, almost a selfish thing, because when you see yourself in someone and you kind of want to save them because of the you that you see in them, it comes back to you in a weird way, if you know what I mean. Like, it comes back to, well, I see myself in you, so I want to help you, and then it's kind of almost narcissistic in a weird way, you know. But
no selfless act, is there?
But yeah, I feel privileged that I was in that position and I've managed to get myself out of that position to the point where I am now seen as somebody that's good enough to go and inspire these people, which not that long ago I needed inspiration, you know. So
what do you think they get out of it?
Do you know, if I'm honest, from my point of view watching them with him, I think that what they get out of it is hope that people like them can
hope
do
is the
stuff
word
like
that
this.
I was going to say.
I think hope, and I think just the fact that, for example, he's a really talented lad, and he'd look at Dave almost like a role model, and he'd be like, right, you're doing this, and I can see it can be done, and it's not by someone who's more educated than me, it's not by someone who speaks different than me, it's by someone that actually, you know, he looks like the kind of guy I'd hang out with and I'd be his mate, and maybe, you know, in 10 years' time, if I do the same kind of practice, I could be where he is. And it's that vision, like, which is almost saying that not only am I going to give you a hypothetical somewhere you could go in the future, here's the guy that's you in 10 years' time, he could be doing this job, you know, and it makes it real.
Which imparts pressure on me, in a sense, to make sure that I am inspiring in the right way. And for me, that is not showing them how street I am and how much I can talk on your level. It's doing that and then going, sorry, what was that, Simon? Oh yeah, absolutely fantastic, mate, lovely. It's being a social chameleon, and it's showing that it's not
demonstrating other ways of being, different ways of being.
Yes, it has to be appropriate to the situation, to the people in it, and it's that, to me, is important. It's obviously we have to connect initially on some level, but from there on in, it's about kind of it's leading by example.
And I think even how you deal with conflict, even times on the project, the way you've dealt with a conflict in front of the lads has made them think, well, if I was in that situation, and maybe I'd hit the guy or whatever. But when you're showing them alternative ways of dealing with conflict, alternative ways of, you know, dealing with a disagreement, of you know, a clash of opinions, whatever it is, it's being that example that, you know, I've seen some of these lads when I've walked to work, and I've seen them just on the side of the road with other homeless people, just on a bit of a homeless camp type thing going on, and just walk past them, and it struck me that, you know, I only see them in that space, and their life is so different than what goes on in that space, and it's the only stability they've got, it's the only place to go, and they're treated like everyone else, they're treated like just human being. We'll see them and I'll just treat them like my friend, whereas, you know, when they're sat on the side of the road with a couple of blankets and, you know, a couple of other homeless people, they're maybe not treated by other people as equals and the same as them. So to me as well, it's a way that they get to engage and just be themselves and normal. And before they became homeless and before whatever they were doing, you know, they're just people.
I think gradually through music's a form of expression, and kind of what I said at the event is very true. We use music as a way to express things we've been through, express things we've seen, and that's getting to the kind of cliches of the art form, but they exist for a reason. And I think, you know, with music and rap, you know, it's a form of poetry, and we spoke yesterday, Jen, about it being like modern Shakespeare, some of it, and the double meanings, the metaphors, you know, all these different things. It encourages them to think about things, encourages them to explore their lives and explore certain parts of it. From the beginning we were like, what do you want to do? What do you want this to represent? Do you want to just do you just want to escape reality and just do a track about like being millionaires or whatever? You know, what do you want? Now, personally, I wouldn't do that as an artist, but what would you do? You know, and then we just kind of shared some of our stuff, and they said from the beginning, real, we want it real, we want it real, we want it real. You know, we want it to be real, we want it to reflect our lives and reality. So
it was very much as if they were sick of hearing mainstream music that's going, we're rich, we've got everything, everything's perfect, and they kind of wanted to go, well, no, you know, everything's not perfect, and you might not want to hear this, but this is what
which is really what we wanted, because we wanted the project, because of the men's room and the nature of the work, we wanted it to be reflective, we wanted it to kind of delve and scratch in the surface of some of them issues, and for them it to be a vent for them.
But I think another thing that springs to mind about what the men get out of it, for me, is that, you know, imagine that you feel really worthless and you've got really low self-esteem because, you know, you've been homeless for months and weeks and whatever, and someone even sitting down and saying that something you've written is worth something, to get really excited about something you've written. I mean, these lads feel as though something I write on a piece of paper is actually valuable. They don't have that, you know, they don't think of it like that. They think of it as like, well, what's this? I can't take this to the shop and buy 10 things, you know, so what worth has it got? So I think that value in what they write then makes them go, well, for them to listen to me, I must be valuable. For me, for what I'm saying to be important and to impact on someone, I must be valuable. So it always feeds back to the self to say that you're actually worth something and you exist.
Yeah. What is flow, rhythm, rhyme doing?
Well, the rhyme is obviously the words that are kind of tying things in. You know, poetry doesn't necessarily have to rhyme on a... I mean, neither does rap either, but it has more constraints because there's bars, there's a structure within a beat, yeah. So the rhymes kind of are the things that tie the last line into this line, or you might skip a line. You know, you're familiar with Shakespeare, I'm sure. So like he did the A B C D C D E F E F G G, and he did the rhyming couplets at the end. Well, similarly to that's what the rhyme's kind of doing, but the flow is the bits in the middle. Yeah.
Well, rhyme as well. They have multi-syllabic rhymes, so it's like, for example, what's in fashion now, which, you know, obviously like a lot of people, you know, do like 8 syllables of the sentence go, so not necessarily one word, but the whole sentence.
I'll rhyme every word in the line.
We'll rhyme with every word in the sentence below.
And every word in the next line.
Every word with the sentence below. So
and every word in the next line.
And then also, there's different, like, there's rhyming the vowels, instead of, you know, not rhyming anything else in the words except for the end vowels or whatever, you know, the A's or the O's or the U's.
So the guys who you work with kind of instinctively know this because they're listening to this music all the time. They know it because it's part of them.
Especially
so what are they getting out of doing that?
I was talking to Jenny yesterday about punchlines and double meanings, and I was, you know, I don't know if I gave some examples, but I've got a lyric, I've got a rhyme, and it says, and this isn't the rhyming bit, this is the punchline bit. Like Nick, I bury MCs in a heartbeat. Now I'm in a group with a guy called Nick, but Nick Berry is the main PC in a program called Heartbeat. He's the main copper in Heartbeat. So like Nick, I bury MCs in a heartbeat. Yeah. So there's some people who can do that, those double meanings, the punchlines, the metaphors, the similes, etc., etc. But there's someone else whose flow might be incredible, and his is about the his is about the rhythm. It's you've kind of so it allows expression in a different way. It means that people can express themselves and still rap. It just creates another kind of, you know, it's like having tap, ballet, jazz and hip hop dance. You know, I might not be that good at ballet, but I listen to loads of urban music and my shoulders just go, you know, so it kind of allows there to be a path for everyone. Almost.
And I think also it allows someone to, like, you know, he's showing off his, you know, kind of flow prowess, where he might be a bit unconfident to show kind of, you know, verbally how, you know, how much his vocabulary is fantastic or whatever. He might feel a bit uncomfortable with that, but knowing that, you know, he's kept a fantastic flow and everyone's like, wow, that's still something to show off, and not everyone can do that. So it's
I'd argue that's the first thing to learn, like to keep it within the parameters, and then you can.
The opposite.
It's highly disciplined. It's highly disciplined.
If I tell you, I didn't like education. I wasn't an education type of person. But I now work in education and I can write to the level of anyone else, if not better, to be honest, some of the teachers, my writing skills. And it was never from wanting to be academic. I wanted to know what this discombobulated meant, because I wanted to put in a punchline to kill that other guy and make sure that I'm smarter than him, right? And really, I accidentally gained a fantastic vocab. So then when I'm writing to such a higher level than other people. And it's not because I wanted to be a smarty pants, it's not because I was an academic. It was all to get at your opponent, to say I'm better, to show off, I'm a rapper, you know, I want to write these lyrics that you're going to read and go, she's a clever one, her. And that's all I wanted. It wasn't about that. But accidentally, I kind of became a bit academic in the process and started reading really like classic books and getting really into it. So it was almost accidental.
In our demographic, or where kind of the people we grew up around, that was it. That was the reason. And I loved Shakespeare at school, but only because the double meanings, the I was like, whoa, this is like, you know, my favourite rapper.
Yeah.
I kind of related it to that wholeheartedly. And just like you said, it gave me a thirst for literature, a real thirst. I had to know what that word means.
And you know why that is as well? Because your tools, as a rapper, your words are your tools. So the more of them you've got, you feel more equipped to kind of deal with your opponent.